What's up? This is Matt with Hanley Gaming. Now I pre-ordered the Division 2 for PS4. It's the Steelbook edition. It's pretty nice case art. Now let's see how the game did. The Division 2 is Ubisoft's follow-up to 2016's Tom Clancy's The Division. Let's talk about the good and the bad, and see how Ubisoft did. First, let's look at what's the same. It's an RPG, cover-based looter shooter. You are an agent of a division of the US government called The Division. There are multiple factions fighting you and each other for control of the regions of the map, a very large map at that, whose population has been devastated by a virus. As for gameplay, you take cover to avoid damage, you find weapons and clothing from downed enemies and in containers throughout the map, you have 2 weapons and a sidearm, 2 equipable specialties, you can throw grenades, there is a level-based progression system, there's crafting and deconstructing items, and of course, there's the PvP Dark Zone. There are also changes from the original. Some are welcome and others not so much. The most notable change is the setting. Instead of New York City in the middle of the winter, it takes place in Washington, D.C. during the summer, taking place 7 months after the original game. Some of the welcome changes are, most enemies are not bullet sponges anymore when they're at your level, with the exception for armored units, making it easier to take down enemies. But this doesn't make the game easier. They are much more aggressive. They send explosive RC cars when you're in cover, along with screaming people that melee attack you to make you leave cover, and there are a lot more enemies during encounters. Also, all of the expansions in the first year are included free of charge with the price of the game. There are subclasses to choose from in the endgame, and there are also 8-player raids being added into the game. As for the Dark Zone, there are 3 separate Dark Zones in the game. I have only checked out one so far, so I don't know about the other 2. But the only major change I noticed was the turrets preventing rogue players from camping at the Dark Zone entrances. Were the changes I didn't like. The first game contained medkits, which healed damage taken rather quickly, while the Division 2 replaces these medkits with armor kits. When your armor is damaged or depleted, you can recover your armor health by getting behind cover and using a kit. These kits take a few seconds, and if you take damage in that time, it cancels it. Another thing I don't like was how you get attachments for your weapons. In the first Division, you found the attachments of different quality the same way as weapons on dead enemies. Things like suppressors, flash hiders, scopes, laser sights, high velocity magazines, extended magazines, and so many more. Well, not anymore. Now, they are unlocked at your base of operations as perks through a vendor, with something you look for in the game called Shade Tech. Once you unlock the attachment as a perk, and there are different levels of perks that give different attachments, it's usable on any weapon it's compatible with. Now, I feel like this cheapens the experience. It's an RPG. The attachments should be looted, rewarding players who venture out into the Dark Zone and complete harder missions with different attachments of different rarities, to make their weapons better, experimenting with which attachments work, with which weapons, but no. Now, when you unlock the perk, you have an unlimited amount of that attachment. There were also some issues with the game before and after the main launch on the 15th, and they still need to be addressed, and it hurts the product overall. There are glitches, a lot of glitches. Whether it be small, funny things like NPCs and settlements floating up a flight of stairs, or hindrances such as lagging to the point where you are shooting at an enemy that is no longer there, but instead they are behind you shooting you in the back. So yes, there are some funny things that don't affect the gameplay itself, but does take away from the overall experience visually and make you think, really Ubisoft? But the ones affecting gameplay make it almost unplayable. For instance, I was playing with 3 other guys, doing some missions, and they were freezing on my screen, then started moving around the screen like Flash. And enemies were doing the same thing, and that makes it pretty much impossible to play a shooter. And another issue is getting dropped in the middle of a match, whether it's you or the people you're playing with, and it says poor connection to server. Now, I know it's not my internet, because I have no problems whatsoever with any other games. And I checked my connection. Now, my download speed is 50 times the requirement, and my upload speed is 30 times the requirement, and my ping is 5 times faster than required. So overall, it is a fun game. I like some of the changes they made, but not all of them. Now, my biggest issue was the technical issues that I was talking about that was making the game almost unplayable. But at the time of recording this, my wife is actually playing it and told me she hasn't been experiencing any of the lagging issues that were one of the biggest issues, and she hasn't been dropped from the server. So that is saving the score a little bit. I was going to score it much lower if it wasn't patched, but it seems to have been patched. So overall, I would give this game a score of 7 out of 10. Now, the score is still being brought down by those customization features for the guns that I feel absent from the game. But yeah, overall, it is a pretty fun game. Now, if you like this video, remember, leave a like, subscribe to my channel, hit notifications, share this video with your family and friends, and leave a comment below. Did you buy this game? Have you experienced any of the issues? What do you think about the changes? Let me know in those comments. And don't forget to follow me on social media. Now, until next time, later.